Hi, welcome to Game Creation. So we started quite well with our snake game yesterday, and today's video is all about movement. What I want to do is discuss how we are going to tackle movement, because it will be very different game to game, and the snake has some rules in it. For instance, if you're going to the right or left, depending on which way you're seeing this, you can't go back the other way. It just doesn't let you have that input. So we need to create some rules in it to say, well, yes, you can press left, but ignore it, because if the snake's moving right, no chance. Or if they're moving up, they can't move down. They can move left and right, and even if they press up, we can kind of ignore that because they're already going up, and the snake is continually moving each time. Let's get started. So we've opened up the same project as we did last time. And don't forget, we've commented out the last week's project just so we can nick stuff from it. And actually, we'll need to nick something today, which will be this. Remember, this was all about the control. Okay. And what is helpful to do sometimes is just write a comment. And if you want a single line comment, you just do 2 forward slashes. And remember, this is only there for us. This will be the array creation. And this we don't need. We can put that. We might need that later on. Let's just comment out for now. And then this will be the tile creation. Okay, and it just helps you like identify what it is you're trying to do at each point. I don't normally put them uppercase. Well, clearly I do. Well, whatever. Okay. I like to have them all the same format. Right, so now last time we had the spacebar as our key, but it's actually quite annoying to each time have to go into the console to see the key codes for each button. So there's a website I use all the time called keycode.info, and if you just press the key on your keyboard, it will show you what the JavaScript event key code is, and it's just quicker. So up is 38. So let's go back to our program, and we want 38, and do a comment afterwards saying up. And there's people who don't like you putting comments on the same line as code, and so I probably should put that one there. We don't need the stop everything thing. Now, if I could say another if statement for down, left, right, all that stuff. But there's a way of saying else if, to say, well, if that wasn't successful, then move on to that. If that's successful, they haven't clearly clicked anything else. So there's just 2 different ways of doing it. I'm going to keep them as if statements just so the comments work nicer, but there's always that. So let's have a look at what down is. So press down, it says it's 40. And let's try left. $37. And right, 39. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is create a variable called direction, and we're going to start it off as right. Now I'm just going to use the words. It's not very optimized. You should probably just put a single digit, but that's fine. And then each time we move direction, I'm just going to change the word to meet the direction they're going. Simple as that. So it's just going to change the value of that variable. And what I'm going to do is just console log the direction, check it's all working, save it, go back to our project, and go open the console, refresh, and I'm going to press up, down, left, right, 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 left, right, left, right. There we are. That's working perfectly. Okay, so we want to put in the restrictions now that if the direction is going down, you can't go up, and I'm going to put that on the same line. If direction does not equal down, spell it right, and then open it up, then do this. Okay, so if direction's not down, then you can go up. And we just need to copy and paste this in for each one, and copy and paste the ending as well. And so it's going to be up for down, left for right, and right for left. Okay, save that. Go back to the project, refresh. And so if I'm going to click right, then I'm going to click left, and it's not going to let me do it. It is spouting it out again because I've pressed a button, therefore it will do the console log, but it's not letting me go left. But if I click up and then left, it will let me go left. If I click down, I can't go up. I'm clicking up now. That's perfect, and that's what you want in Snake. You want it to ignore the inputs. Okay. So let's go back to the code. Okay, so we want there to be a kind of event happening after this to actually move the character, but what we want is there to be ticks, like when we did the Tetris project. We want something to happen, an update on the screen every X amount of seconds. So I'm happy with leaving that, because that will be that direction we can use in that function and say, well, okay, whatever direction they're going, then go in that direction. Okay. So we need some way of having a tick, and we do that with a set interval. Okay, so I'm going to copy that. And this will be my tick movement. Okay, and so we're not going to do draw rectangle. What we're going to do is draw screen. Okay, so we're going to draw the whole screen, sort out where everything is. And I'm going to do it every second, which I think is 1,000 because it's in milliseconds. And I can copy that, or I can just write the function again. So function draw screen. And sometimes these functions actually need to be above where you call them. So you need to call the function, like describe the function, and then call it. Sorry. So this might need to be above that. And we'll just check to see whether that needs to be the case. And this draw screen is going to do all of the work. This is going to be the thing that's actually making the game every second. And it won't be every second. We need to increase that. And maybe this is something that changes. With Snake, I think the longer you go on, the less time you've got between ticks. So it looks like the snake's moving quicker and quicker. Okay, so the tile creation needs to be in this, really. So we're going to cut that. And we're going to paste it in here. Okay, so I'm just going to slide that across. There we are. And so this will just draw anything that isn't blank. And in Snake, they're either filled in or they're not, because they were designed for the old, Nokia, was it 3310 phones? Probably before then. Okay, so we need some way of keeping track of where the player is. Just trying to think about the best way of doing this, whether to create a separate array for the player or whether to have it all within the tile creation element, like have a loop for it that goes around checking where the player is. And I think the smartest way of doing this is to keep it all within one array. And you'll see why maybe later on when the player or the snake starts eating some of the food, it might be a simple way. I don't know. We shall see, we shall see. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to create another loop. So we're doing a lot of loops. And what we're just going to try and do is find out where the player is. So this will be move player. Okay, and so what we're going to say is we're going to look for where the player is. Now, going back to this one here, we're going to uncomment this because this is going to be where the player starts. I probably want the player to start on the left hand side. is 5. Let's try, yeah, 5 is around the middle. Okay, because I think there's 12 tiles down, so you can't ever get the exact middle, but that's fine. Okay, and we're going to say, right, if the tile found, because this will loop through all of the tiles, if the tile found is equal to 1, hence where the player is, then we need to shift them across. Now we don't want to draw anything, we're just manipulating the array because this will draw everything for us. And we're going to say, okay, so if the tile is 1, that is where the player is at. Okay, and then we're going to use our directions. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. I need to change it quite a lot. So if the direction equals up, then what we want to do is we want to change this, and up will be -1 on the x, because remember up is always, so when you go up you're actually taking away 1, unlike coordinates, and we're going to say, right, that's going to equal 1, that's where the player is going to be. Okay, and we're just going to go through each of these directions. So if it's down, then it's going to be add 1. If it's right, now right is just +1 to the x, nothing to the y, and then left will be -1 to the x. Now the problem is that we've still got this equal to 1, so we just need to get that equal to 0 to get rid of where the player was. And we'll look into refining that, because obviously if there's a snake we don't want this to turn to 0, but we'll worry about that later on. So that looks like it could work. So let's save that and let's hope for the best. So refresh, and there's nothing, and so it says tile array is undefined, and so we go back to our code and see where we've mucked up. So direction isn't left initially, direction is right initially, so that shouldn't be a problem. Let's just have a think. There's probably something stupid I've done. I'm an idiot. Because what this is doing is it's firing and it's changing the next value to 1, then this loop is coming around again and it's changing the next one to 1, and it's just shooting the player across the screen very, very quickly. So what we need to do is we need to change these values at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 variables, new x and new y, and all we're going to do is just change the new x and new y in each of these. So new x equals just x, but new y will be y -1. And then so we're just going to copy and paste these all the way down, obviously changing the values. So new x to the right will be +1, to the left will be -1, the y's will be the same, and then down will be +1 because we add 1 to go down. Then right at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to say, right, we want the new x and new y one to be 1. Let's save that and hopefully this will work now. Let's just have a look. And let's check that, because I think we've made the same mistake again, because this will need to happen after, so we're going to cut that, so have to happen at the end, so after the loop, so down here I think, because otherwise we just have the same problem, it just keeps shifting the player to the right. This is why debugging is important. So let's have a look now. It should work, there we are. And it's not removing that one, so it's working as we want, but we need it to remove the one that it was at, which I thought this one here would. So let's just kind of investigate that. I'm assuming this is our old friend clear canvas. So we actually want to make sure we clear the canvas, because I think that's why in the array it's actually changing to 0, but we haven't cleared the canvas. So we want to make sure that before tile creation we get rid of everything, and we do that with the clear rectangle, which just wipes the screen, and that should work now. So let's save that, load that up, and there we go, and then press up. Oop, click on the thing, press up, right, left, down, there we are. And then if I click up, it won't work. Perfect. And we can make it a bit quicker, a bit more interesting by just reducing the number here. So I can make it twice as quick by halving that number. That means every half a second it will update. So let's refresh that. There we are, that's much quicker. And when you press the direction, it doesn't happen instantly, but it never did with Snake. It was going to be half a second, no matter how quickly you press. So you've got half a second to make your decision. And if we come off the screen here, it will throw an error, which we need to deal with later on, because the array doesn't exist there, so it starts panicking a little bit. But I think that's a good place to stop. I think we've achieved a lot today, and I had quite a few errors along the way, which is always good, because I think when you're creating stuff, always assume you're making mistakes constantly. But as you get kind of more experienced, you kind of realise what the mistakes are going to be. And that, sadly, mistake we made today is not one I've never made before. I have made that mistake before, especially working with arrays. And sometimes it's useful to have a secondary array for the updates. And then when you've finished updating it, then you copy that secondary array onto your primary array. But yeah, so if you've got any comments from today's video, please write them in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see more from us, please click subscribe. We release videos every single weekday at 7 PM UK time. Thank you.